welcome back to
Part A.
everyone. Part A, 2A.
Oh.
2A, class number 2, part A. Welcome back to everyone who was here last week, and welcome to the ones who have joined us, who were not here last week. We'll do a quick review of it last week, the first few rules for being human, as the first 5 rules we did last week. And before we start, just a very special welcome to David McIver, who is fresh back from 9 months? 9 months studying in Israel.
Wow.
So he's like off the plane and we're back here in Dallas for a little bit. And his great brother, Philip, of course, and who was away for 9 months. I mean, who's holding on the fort for 9 months while David was away. So welcome back, Bruchim Haberim. Welcome. We're glad you're here. I really like that geometry. Okay. Good. Okay, so the rules for being human. So this is sort of, I actually found this on a wall, hanging on the wall at Aish HaTorah when I was in Israel a bunch of years ago, and I always said that I was going to do a class on the rules for being human. Like I thought, like that was just such a cool idea. So, one thing before we begin. Also, don't forget, starting next week, actually a week from this coming up Tuesday night. Okay. So a week from last night, we're starting up our brand new series at Breakneck Through the Bible, right? Which is going to be starting from Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1. Right, we're going to be starting Tuesday nights at 7:30. We'll be here going through the Torah, cover to cover, and so that's going to be this coming up, starting this coming up Tuesday night, as well as the holidays this year are coming up. And I know it sounds pretty scary, but they're only like 3.5 weeks away? 3 weeks away? 2 weeks? I don't know. Too soon. Okay, but they're right around the corner. So the high holiday learner services are starting up as well. So that's going on. Okay, so the rules for being human. So we spoke about last week that rule number 1 is that you will receive a body. You may like it or hate it, but it will be yours for the entire period this time around. Okay, that's rule number 1. All right, rule number 1 is that you get a body. It's yours to kind of take care of. It's a Lend-Lease program, right? God gives it to us for hopefully 120 years, and our job is to take care of our body as we get it. We talked about that we have to always constantly remember that we're a soul that has a body, not a body that has a soul. Okay, right? It means what happens is we tend to identify ourselves with our body, right? Tell me, is this statement true? I am hungry, or I am full. Is that a true statement?
No.
I have a soul. Is that a true statement or a false statement?
True.
True. Right? So what happens is, so people say, well, that's true. And the answer is it's actually wrong, because I don't have a soul. I am a soul. Right? I am not hungry. My body is hungry. You got it? Mm-hmm. Right? So the problem is we identify ourselves with our body, not with our soul. And we make body decisions instead of soul decisions. And that's how we go through life, making these body decisions rather than soul decisions. Okay? Right? And that's the first rule. Right? So you get a body, you get to keep it, it's yours the entire time around. But remember, you're not your body, you're your soul. Right? Okay, that's a very important rule, because that's a mistake we kind of always make, is that we always are identifying ourselves as a body, not as a soul. By the way, when you come to Breaking Through the Bible, we'll see that this actually was the sin that when Adam and Eve ate from the tree, when they ate from the tree of knowledge, right? When they ate from the tree of knowledge, that's the switch that took place. That at the beginning, they identified with their soul that had a body, right? And what happened was, after they ate from the tree, they began to look at themselves as a body that has a soul. Okay? And so that's always just an important kind of piece, just to remember that we are a soul that has a body. Hence, I am hungry, right? Or I am full is a false statement. I am not hungry, I am not full. My body is hungry, my body is full. Right? I don't have a soul, I am a soul. Right? And kind of just to remember to keep focused on that, right? That's who we are when I begin making those decisions, making much smarter decisions rather than sillier decisions as we go through life. Because when we tend to make soul decisions, we tend to make smart decisions. When we make body decisions, we tend to make silly decisions or not good decisions. Right? So that's rule number one, right? You have a body, it's ours, right, for this time around. Rule number two, you will learn lessons. Right? You will learn lessons. You are enrolled in a full-time informal school called life. Each day in this school, you will have the opportunity to learn lessons. You may like the lessons or think them irrelevant and stupid. But you will learn lessons. Okay? Right? So that's kind of, and that was rule number two, is that you go ahead, life is just a continual cycle of going ahead and learning and of figuring out you're in school, informal school called life. Right? And we talked about how Abraham had 10 tests, and each lesson that you get, it's building, right? They're given to us to help us build from one level to the next level to the next level to the next level, etc. Rule number three, and these again, this is from last week, so we're just going to do a quick overview from last week. Rule number three: there are no mistakes, only lessons. No mistakes, only lessons. Growth is a process of trial and error, experimentation. The failed, quote-unquote, experiments are as much a part of the process as the experiment that ultimately works. Okay? Right? Actually, I had a sad situation today when actually somebody was giving a divorce, was divorcing his spouse, and he was very much crestfallen about it. And I told him, I said, listen, I said, you're going through this process. I said, hopefully during this process you've learned, and there are many things that you've learned, and you'll be able to use those lessons to become a better person, right, to continue on in the next, the next part of your life, right? Like that sort of is, right? So there are no mistakes, only lessons. I said, and we talked about the tragedy. Tragedy is not when something bad happens. Tragedy is when something bad happens and we don't learn from those mistakes. Right? That's the tragedy. Right? The tragedy is when something happens and there's a cost involved with it, and we don't learn from those mistakes. Right? That's a tragedy. Right? That's kind of is where it comes from. Okay. We talked about how growth is life. Right? When we say life, right, the definition of life is growth. Right? We talked about our favorite little. Right? We said, what's the difference between a dead tree and a live tree? A live tree is growing. A dead tree is not growing. Actually, I have a nice dead tree in my backyard. It is no longer growing, and I'm waiting for God to take it down. Another branch fell off yesterday, and my daughter called me up and says, I don't know about it. I was here at that. My daughter called me up and said, God loves you. I said, I know God loves me. I said, but tell me why. Every time my daughter calls, I don't know about you guys. Your daughter starts driving like your heart's in your mouth every time. You get a phone call. They're driving like what's oh my gosh, like is everything okay? And so you hear her voice and okay, the car's total, but that's okay, right? Like it's kind of like you just go ahead and playing this, thank God we got a beautiful, nice van. And she called me and says, God loves you. I said, I know, thank you. I know he does. I said, but tell me how. She says, well, a branch from the tree fell, and it's cuddling the car. Right? And she said, it's like right around the car. She said, if you want, I'll leave it here for you so you can see it. I said, no, it's okay, you can put it up front. And I said, I said, he loves him so much that he had it dropped during the week of, bolt track pickup. That's real love. You know what I'm saying? Right? Then you can go put it out front and it'll be okay. And so, right? So, what happens is, right, the dead tree versus a live tree, right? That's growth, right? We define something dead, that it no longer grows. We define something living as something that grows. Okay? That's the definition. Okay? That's the definition of life is growth. When we stop growing, we are dead. People who retire from life, right? They stop growing. That is what we call death, right? The really true retirement is when the person dies. As long as we are alive, God has His reason for us being alive, and our job is to live, right? Our job is to accomplish. Our job is to grow and to do things. And so as long as we are living, as long as we are upright and moving around, or even right? Flat on our backs, but still breathing. Right? We still have a mission that's called life. And really, we talked about the famous crab, right? The famous crab is a sea creature that wears his armor, and nobody could hurt the crab, right? There's only one thing that could hurt the crab, and that's what happens is the crab has this lovely armor that's on him, right? And what happens is the armor protects the crab, but it also makes it that he can't grow, right? Because as soon as he gets snug inside the armor, right, he can't grow anymore because now the armor is restricting his growth. So what does the crab do? So the crab goes ahead and the crab goes through a process called the molting process, right? Right? And what happens, it goes like this. It sheds its armor and has underneath a soft armor. Okay? Now that's when he's vulnerable, right? That's when the animals that snack on crabs can eat the crab because he no longer has, right? He goes to find a hard, dark place where he can kind of hide and while it's happening. And he goes and he swallows a lot of water. And when he swallows water, what happens when he swallows the water? He swells and balloons up. And so he stretches the armor. A couple hours later, the armor dries. Right? A couple hours later, the armor dries. He spits out the water. He's got a new shield on, plenty of room to grow in. It's fantastic. Right? That's how the crab. Isn't it amazing how God made the crab? It's amazing. It's amazing. And some people think that it happened all by itself. That's pretty incredible. People actually think that the crab figured this out all by himself. And so what happens is that it goes ahead and the crab goes through this process, right? But the problem is when the crab grows, he's vulnerable, right? Is that at that point in time, because along comes the what?
Predator.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what predators for the crab.
Predators.
Yeah, no, along comes a boiling pot of water looking for the crab. I don't know. And it kind of it jumps on it when it's vulnerable, right? When it doesn't have its armor on, right? And that's when it goes in, and that's when it becomes vulnerable. So why does it grow? Why doesn't it just stop growing and it will live forever? And the answer is because life is growth. Okay? If you don't have growth, you don't have life. Okay? And so therefore we always have to be growing, right? And so therefore, and the way we do grow is through these lessons, right? That God goes ahead and brings our way. Life is full of lessons, right? You know, life is full of lessons. Right? We look around and the smarter we are, you know, the more we'll learn from the lessons, right? You know, so today was a double divorce. Two people got divorced today. So what lesson can you learn from that?
Get a good attorney.
What? Get a good attorney? Don't get married. You see, we have a class of losers. But I see now why. I was wondering why that was, because now I get it, because you learned the wrong lessons. Okay, folks, let me help you with this lesson, okay? What lesson did you learn? Talk to your spouse. And then you can talk to your rabbi. That's okay. Right? But the answer is learn to treat your spouse nicely. Right? You know what I'm saying? Right? All these weddings started with, you know, great ambitions and great plans, right? And somehow, right, they ended up over here in the reasonable people. And they're not unreasonable people. Well, some of them were. Okay, anyway, but reasonable people, right? And what happens is you go ahead, right, and somehow, right, they ended up over here. And so what's the lesson that we should learn? Is okay. Let's be intelligent, right? Let's go ahead and let's practice being nice, right? And you know and so when you don't get your way, that's okay, right? Life will still go on. Right? Be the bigger person. Let it go. Don't hold onto its right. You know. There's a great line. Don't be dead right. Right. Yeah, you could be right, sure. You could be single, right? Right? That's right. That's what happens, right? And so we're in school, we're in life. We could see it. We could either grab it, we could either get it, or we could say, you know what? maybe not so fast. Right? You're sitting at a stop sign and you see the car going the other way and you see him run a red light. And you see a car coming from the other direction, red or green, and just go. What do you learn from that? Don't run red lights, right? Okay, right? Drive a little carefully, right? Meaning we go through life and we have lessons and we get these lessons again and again and again. They're in front of us. They happen time and time again, and we have to be smart enough to pick them up. Okay? So that's what it is, right? There are no mistakes, only lessons. Right? Life is full of lessons. Growth is a process of trial and error. Experimentation. The failed experiments are as much part of the process as experiment that ultimately works. When he gets married, gets divorced, it's a tragedy, it's a failure. But if we learn from that, and the next time we get married, we're not going to repeat those same mistakes. Right? We're better for it. Right? So what happens is we go ahead, we're not a mistake. We learned a lesson. It's a costly lesson. Right? It's a costly lesson, but at least we learn from it. Right? So that, right? Go ahead. So that's what life is. Life is full of lessons. Rule number 4, and this is the greatest rule. I love rule number 4. Rule number 4 is a lesson is repeated until learned. Don't be in a rush to learn the lesson. You could ignore it. That's okay, because you'll get the lesson again. Okay? Rule number 4 is a lesson is repeated until learned. A lesson will be presented to you in various forms until you have learned it. When you have learned it, you can then go on to the next lesson. Right? So don't be in a rush. Take your time. The lesson's painful. You don't want it to do. No problem. Take your time, because it'll come again. It'll happen again. Right? Till we learn the lesson. Right? And that's, right, we talked about, what was it, Hedgehog Day? What was it? Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day. I'll get that. Sooner or later, I'll get that done. Right? Okay. And ever saw the movie Groundhog Day?
Bill
Right?
Murray?
What?
Was it Bill Murray?
Yeah.
Bill Murray? Okay, that I don't know. That's way beyond my pay grade. Okay, right, Groundhog Day, right, to go, right? So what happens is this guy goes out in the sky, right, and what happens is he has to get this whole day right. And every time he gets it wrong, he dies and goes back to the beginning of the day. Like, wakes up again. Right, and then kind of just goes through, 132nd time when he's trying, when he says something to his wife and they keeps on slamming the door and whatever. Right, so what happens is you go ahead, right, lessons are repeated until learned. So don't feel rushed. Take your time. You enjoy the pain, that's good. Right, because we'll just go again and again until we learn this lesson. Right, that's lesson number 4. Right, never worry about passing, because you get it back again until you pass it. Right, so you will pass. Right, so it depends how successful in passing you want to be. Right, yes.
Is that when you know you've done tshuva, is when you make a mistake in life and then you have similar circumstance and you don't fail?
That's exactly what tshuva is. That's the highest level. That's complete tshuva. Tshuva is returning to God. The fourth and high, the 4 steps to tshuva. Stop what you're doing. Stop what you're doing bad. Right. Right. Stop what you're doing. Admit. No. Before you admit it,
Tell God you're sorry.
Tell God you're sorry. Right. That's right. Verbalize it. Right. Stop doing what you're doing wrong. Right the wrong. Verbalize to God that you're sorry. And the 4th and final step, which we actually pray to God never to get back into that situation, is where you get put into the same exact situation and you don't make it, and you don't make the same mistake. Right? That's the highest level of tshuva. And that's where you go ahead and that's where you ace the test. Right? That's when you go ahead and now boom, you've done it. Right? And that's his highest level. And that's where you know now you're ready to move on to the next test because you got it right. Okay, then we said rule number 5. Learning lessons does not end. There is no part of life that does not contain its lessons. If you are alive, there are lessons to be learned. Okay, right? So what happens is, right, if you are around, God makes no mistakes. He's keeping you around because there are more lessons to learn. Right? So we go ahead, we got more lessons to learn. That's why we're here. We're here to learn more lessons. Okay? That's what it's all about, right? The definition of life is to learning lessons. Growing and learning lessons. Okay? That was last week. Yeah.
I love that expression, Learn from other people's mistakes. You can't possibly live long enough to make them all yourself.
That is true. And actually, I tell people, it's not only that, I said it's much less painful when you learn from somebody else's mistakes. You know, if you really want to feel how it hurts to be hit by a hammer, by all means take the hammer and smash your finger. As far as I'm concerned, I'd rather let somebody else smash their finger and learn to be careful of the hammer. Right, but I'm a chicken at heart. I don't like the sight of blood, and I hate pain. I don't like pain. I don't know about you guys, but I don't like pain. You know, I don't even eat like sharp foods like horseradish or
Anything spicy.
or anything too spicy, right? Because it's too much pain. Why not eat something nice and sweet? Like that feels much better. And so that's. Much I'd rather a sweet piece of cake than like a sharp shot of like whiskey.
Like ice cream.
Well, ice. There we go.
There you
Ice
go.
cream. There we go. Now, and the sweeter the ice cream, the better it is. It's actually fascinating. You know, I don't know if it's just me or not, but there's some certain ice creams, there's certain flavors that seem to be sweeter when they go down. You know what's really good? The cookie dough one with the chocolate chips in it. That's really that's sweet. Like that's really sweet as it goes down. Like right. You know, it's because it's amazing. Like.
Bluebell.
Is that Bluebell's kosher? I don't know if that, but Breyer's ice cream is kosher. A lot of Ben and Jerry's flavors are kosher. A lot of even a lot of Dreyer's flavors are kosher, except the one with the marshmallows. Right. So anyway, so that's right. But that's you go ahead. Right. You go ahead.
So you don't eat a lot of spicy Moroccan food?
No, you know it's funny. No, I like the sweet ones. Not
I do too.
like that's my style because I'm a sweet guy. You know I like the bitter stuff. It's not for me. Like just.
That explains a lot. What people like to eat explains the personality.
The personality isn't that amazing? Some people like the hot and spicy. It's not for me.
That explains
Right.
so much.
Right. I like the nice sweet. Man, go delicious.
Custard.
Right, custard. Here we go. I went to I was just up in New York. I was up in New York. I was up in New York too last week, and then I flew up again this week for a quick trip, and I went with actually took Blake with me, and what happened was I showed him. I said I want to show you something, and we walked into this kosher store. Everything in this supermarket is kosher, okay? But that's not the exciting part. What the exciting part is that there's probably 50 feet of ready-to-eat goods, okay? Like prepared feet, okay? And then you start off, like when you walk in the door, you walk into the bakery section. Okay, so what happened was before we went to the store, of course we ate before we went to the store, right? So we walk in the bakery section. I said, this is Napoleon, really good. And a custard, like that's real, like that's. He said, Betsy, we can't have it. We just ate meat, and this is dairy.
Right.
I said, Blake, everything in this store is is non-dairy. I said, you can have. He said, what about that chocolate? I said, chocolate's non-dairy. It tastes like dairy, but it's non-dairy chocolate. I said, this stuff is just like heaven on earth. So you go in and so we're picking out the different thing, we're picking out. The problem was the carts were only like this big. We're trying to shove everything in. As we're going down, and then when you finish that section, you go to and then there's the sushi section. Like that's the good appetizers, right? And then right after that they had. He has it on videotape because he said he videotaped. He said his wife wouldn't believe him when he said they're probably 30, 40 feet of prepared dishes. Okay, just like right down. I mean, this was like
Dallas needs something.
That's what we're talking about.
But
Like
that's
this was
New
just.
York. I bet it was great.
Oh man, it was just. We actually were on the way to the airport at that point in time. So we took some from the airplane. And said, "Do you want?" He said, "No, I'm not going to eat anything." And then on the plane, he ate everything. I took with him. okay. But right, so it goes in, and so we goes in sweet stuff. That's what I like. Like that's my style. You know what I'm saying? Like the sweet, nice stuff. Like that's I'm ready for that stuff. Go ahead, just put it on. But so I always try to learn from other people's mistakes. Very much suggested, by the way. It's a suggestion. Again, don't feel any pressure to take that suggestion because you're on your own. And listen, lessons keep on coming back. So I had a great story. I once had a guy came to my office. I said, okay, this is the lesson. you have to learn. He says, but I don't want to learn it. I said, no problem. Go out, and when you get pain again, and you need to learn a lesson, come back because I'll be here. You know, like a few months later, he come back and say, Rabbi, I'm in a lot of pain. I said, I know. I said, I'm trying to help you out. Just learn the lesson so we can move on to the next lesson. You know, right? And again, you know, it's again, right? But that's what it is. We go ahead. Okay, we go ahead. Learning lessons does not end, right? We continually have the opportunity to learn lessons, right? And smart people learn lessons from other people. Right? Don't wait for you to have to learn it by yourself. Right? What do we beg our children to do?
Get along, behave.
Get along, behave, and most importantly,
Don't make the same mistakes
What?
we made.
Don't make the same.
don't make the same right. Don't make the same mistakes that we
That
do.
works.
It's amazing. You know, it's so amazing. You know, the example I always use is you ever see a little kid who learns how to shut doors?
They shut it on their hand.
They slam the doors. They don't just shut the door. They slam it. They love the sound of that slamming the door. Now the problem is little kids have little hands. Right? So how do little kids grab the doors? So let me explain to you how little kids slam doors. When they first learn the trick of slamming the door, what they do is they go and they grab the door right on this little edge where they can actually get their fingers around. And they slam the door. And what happens every time we see it? Oh no, didn't get the fingers caught. And they slam the doors. Careful, they were not so slamming the doors. And I just pray to God that the first time they get their fingers caught in the door, that there's enough space between the door jamb and the door that they don't break anything. And then, it always happens, weeks, months later, you hear that scream and that cry. And what happened? They've caught the hand in the door. Now, kids are quick learners. Because from then on, they learn to close the door in a very different way. You know how little kids close the door? What they do is, they now have a door that's open. They take their two hands and they push the door shut. They'll never grab the door again.
That's so true.
Right?
Yeah.
That's right. They'll never grab the door again because they equate in their minds grabbing the door with pain. Right? But kids are much smarter. You know, they're 2 years old. They get it. You know, we're 40, we don't get it, but that's okay, right? And what happens is we go ahead and we have to keep on catching our fingers in the door enough times till we kind of get it. You know what I'm saying? But that's always suggestion. Always learn from other people's mistakes. When you see people closing the door like this, close the door like this. Don't grab the edge of the door because that will cause you pain. Okay? That is lesson number 5. So that's kind of a recap of last week's lessons. Class number 2's lesson starts with rule number 6. Now, rule number 6 is a very important lesson. And that is as follows. There is no better than here. When your there has become a here, you will simply attain another there that will again look better than here. Okay, let me explain that to you. Too wordy.
That's really, the grass is always greener on the other side.
The grass is always green on the other side till you get to the other side. And then it's no longer greener. And then when you're on the other side, then you go to the third place because there it's really greener. And what happens when you get there?
It ain't.
It ain't greener. Right? So it's fascinating how human psyche works. This is rule number 6. Very important rule. There is no better than here. Okay? Someplace else is not better than being here. Okay? Here is a wonderful place. Don't worry about getting someplace else. Learn about mastering what you have here. Okay? You got it? Right? Somewhere else is no better than here. It says, how does the Talmud, right? How does Jewish ideas express this concept? So it's a very pithy statement. Ezehu Ashir, who is a wealthy man? Hasamech becholko, somebody who is happy with his share. Right? When we're happy with what we got, right? If we're a wealthy person.
Accept your lot. Accepting your lot.
Accepting it's and it's fascinating because there's an element that was supposed to be above that, which is we're supposed to grow above right, what we have, right? But the idea is that we have to be happy where we are, right? It means to learn that who is a rich man? Somebody who's happy with what he has, right? We don't have to go to there to be happy. You know, we spend our lives chasing, if only I had this, I would be happy. Right? Isn't that amazing? Right? We're always looking at the things we don't have. Right? Well, this will make me happy. This will make me happy. When we're 20, what will make me happy?
Good job.
Good job.
21.
When I'm 25, what will make me happy? More money. When I'm 35 and I have more money, what will make me happy?
More money.
More money. Okay? When I'm 40, what will make me happy? I don't know, I have all the money in the world and I'm as miserable as I started off with. Right? Isn't that amazing? And that's what a midlife crisis. Right? That's when it hits in usually around 35. Some people are advanced, they get it at 35. Nowadays we're really advanced. Some people get it at 25, they're already having a midlife crisis. Right? But what's a midlife crisis? Is when you realize that the there that you keep on running to is not happy. Right? Do you know what advertisement is? Do you know the entire industry of advertisement is built on one idea? What's that idea?
Makes you think you're not happy with what you have.
Until you get the product that we're selling. Because that will make you happy. Isn't that amazing? Right? That's what advertisement is. Advertisement is totally built on selling us something we don't need and explaining how miserable we are until we get that product. You know what's amazing?
It works.
Again and again. Ira, how old are you? Right? How many who here watches the Super Bowl? Or better yet, who here watches the Super Bowl ads? Right? Do you realize you are paying somebody to brainwash you? Isn't that amazing? Who here went and bought a bag of Doritos out after the Super Bowl? Thank God they weren't kosher. Right? Right? Why? Because, right, you saw those cute, right, Dorito chip ads, right? That was it. Because we pay people to brainwash us. It's amazing.
Don't talk about Doritos.
Okay. Sorry, went to what? You know what I like? I like Pringles. Pringles are good. They're kosher too. They're good.
Yeah.
Right. Pringles are good. And the kettle fried potato chips are good too. Okay.
Don't make me hungry, please.
Okay.
Tom Thumb makes a Doritos.
What?
Tom Thumb makes a Doritos.
A kosher?
Brand, yes.
Oh yeah.
Kosher.
Oh, thank you. There we go. You see, you learn all sorts of important information in class. Okay.
That's a real doctor.
Actually, tonight's class is sponsored by Doritos. But you're pregnant, you're allowed to eat whatever you want anyway. But pick up that ice cream.
Stop it,
Right? So what happens is that we go ahead and right, we pay people to brainwash us. Right? To stop and think, right? And what happens is we keep on looking at the next and that the next thing will make me happy. Isn't that amazing? If we unplug ourselves from this, you know, from this torrent of information that's meant to make us miserable, we'll be so happy, right? The more TV ads you watch, what do we think? The more miserable we are, right? And it explains us why we're miserable. So the miserable part we get, right? It's amazing. And all we have to do is to just unplug ourselves, right? Right, so you have to understand that where we are now, we're happy. We have everything that we need. Right? And that's how we have to look, right? That's how we have to look at life. We have everything we need. We're happy with what we have. Right? We wake up in the morning, we should be the most excited people in the entire universe. Right? We wake up, it's amazing. We have life. We can breathe. My knee hurts, a little achy, my back, a little sore. Like someone said, the rabbi says, by midday I could begin moving around. He says, like the morning is a bit rough. I said, yeah, I know what you're talking about, right? So, remember what happens? So we go ahead and we have all these things, right? But they're going ahead and we have these different pieces of which we go ahead and we can do, right? We woke up, we're breathing, right? It's amazing. And that may not so well, little allergies, but we're breathing, and it's amazing, right? It means we have to learn to appreciate what we have. We have to learn to appreciate the here, right? What is here in the now? Everything else is kind of just chatter, is it's a smoke screen. It's you know, that fuzz. You know. I don't remember as a kid growing up, you ever went to watch TV? You know, and remember we didn't have a TV growing up in my house, but my grandmother had one. My grandparents had one. We used to go there and we used to get up early in the morning to watch TV. And what happened was there was like 2 channels. I don't know. It was in. They lived in Harris, but we used to go there and remember. I don't know. The TV wasn't whatever it was. You know, we could get like 2 or 3 channels, maybe. And the 2 or 3 channels that we can get always had that white fuzz on it. You know, we can never get a clear picture. And the only thing that had a clear picture was a boring show, right? Right? You remember that, right? And it's just that fuzz, that white. What's that called? That white snow. There we go.
Right.
Right? That white snow, right? That's just something, right? Just like that. Right? You gotta learn to appreciate what we have, like where we are. Like this is what it's all about, right? Getting it right. Who's a rich man? And happy with what we got. Right? We're happy. You have an arm, you have arms, you have legs, right? You breathe. It's amazing. Right? It's amazing. Life is terrific. Okay. Now here's a very interesting corollary, very important to know. We get what we need. If we don't have it, we don't need it now. Isn't that amazing? We get what we need. If we don't have it, we don't need it now. So what do we get? What we need. Right? That's
So then why do we think we need more?
Advertising.
Okay, let's say like we don't watch TV or whatever.
Right, okay, and we're busy looking around at what we don't have and why we need those things. And you want to hear something amazing? Do you know where most people go shopping in the U.S.?
It's fun.
No.
Make themselves feel better.
Yeah.
Retail therapy.
Retail therapy.
Yeah.
No. It's the official name. People go shopping to feel better. Isn't that
That
amazing?
never made sense to me. I'm sorry.
No. It makes absolutely no sense, right? Make yourself better to add another, $100 of debt onto you, right? Like that doesn't make any sense at all, right? It's crazy, but that's what it is, and they brainwashed society that they made us, okay? That they made us that if we go shopping, we'll be happy. We go shopping not because we need anything new, it's stuff we have in our house that we don't need. Right? Isn't it amazing? It's amazing, right? It's amazing, right? Right? How much stuff we don't need and we just have it. Right? And then what we do, so we'll throw it all out so we can go buy more stuff that we don't need. It's amazing. It's amazing how the world is. Now, it's fascinating because there is a place where we're supposed to have desire. And that's why God gave us desire. Torah learning. Man, we're supposed to use that desire for spirituality. And that's why there is desire in this world. Jealous. You know what? You know who we're supposed to be jealous of? Right, what?
Wise man.
A wise man, right? Somebody who knows more Torah than you. Right? I don't know, 3 weeks ago actually from tonight, 3 weeks ago, August 1st, there was this big blowout Super Bowl party at Giant Stadium in New York. 93,000 Jews got together to celebrate the study of Torah. Right? There's a cycle. It's called Daf Yomi. We learn a page of Talmud a day. Okay, and what happens is we learn a page of Talmud a day. And how many pages of Talmud are there? Talmud is Jewish oral law. How many pages are there? A lot. 2,711 pages. Okay, 2,711. If you ever want to remember the number 2,711, you know what else has 2,711? The Holocaust Memorial in Berlin has 2,711. What? No, Amudim, pillars. Right? Right there, you ever been to Berlin? They have the Holocaust Museum that they have the memorial. They actually have concrete blocks, different shapes, different sizes, different heights, right? And what they are is just on a field, and there are 2,711 of them. And 2,711 pages in the Talmud. Do you know what the page of Talmud is called? A daf, or
Leaf.
right, or an amud, which is a pillar. And the 2,711 amudim in Berlin, the 2,711 pages in the Talmud. What's fascinating is that the sages instituted, probably already 30 or 40 years ago, that the cycle, the study of the Daf Yomi, right, should be studied in memory of the people that were killed in the Holocaust. Right? And then they go ahead and they put up a memorial in Berlin, 2,711 pages.
How long does the learning take? 7 years?
Takes, if you learn a page a day, it'll take you 7.5 years. Right? And so when I went into that stadium, I was very jealous. The people that studied a page a day, and 7.5 years later, they look back and they finish the entire topic. Right? It's amazing. So we have desire, and we have jealous. We have it for a reason that's supposed to help us in our spiritual growth. And the problem is, instead of using it in our spiritual growth, we use it for our physical growth. Because we forget rule number 1, which is, we are a soul that gets a body. And so we use our desires and jealousy for the wrong things. Right? It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing. And that's why we get what we need. Right? We get what we need. It's actually cute. I couldn't paraphrase the magnet that's hanging on my fridge. But yesterday's the past, tomorrow's the future, today's the present. Right? Because today's a present from God. That's why today is called a present. Right? Right? But we gotta learn. Okay, yeah, because I'm paraphrasing. I didn't get it right.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. That's right. That's what I mean. That's the gist of it, right? But the idea is today is called the present, right? Today is a present because it's a present from God, right? That's what it is. It's a present, right? We have to remember not to forget. We get a present every day. We wake up. It's a present from God. Right? Who likes getting presents?
Nice, kind.
Yeah, don't you like presents? And dirty diapers are considered a present too. Okay.
I don't know about that.
Right? Richie, do you don't like presents? Okay. I was wondering. I wasn't sure. Right? We love getting presents. Today is a present. Right? We gotta be careful what we do with our presents, because we might not get a future with that. Right? We gotta get the present right. So it's always, there's no here, only there. There's a great story. It's a kid's book, but it's so appropriate to this lesson. You ever heard about the miner that is busy banging on the mountain, and then the sun is boiling? He says, I wish I could be a sun. Here I'm a miner, just pickaxing right at the rock, right? And I wish I was the sun, strong and mighty like the sun to beat down on. So poof, he becomes the sun. So now he's cooking the poor miner, And all of a sudden comes a cloud and covers the sun. He says, well, the sun is powerful, but the clouds are even more powerful because they could block the sun. I wish I was a cloud. Poof, it turns into a cloud. It's great, he's blocking the sun. And all of a sudden comes a puff of wind. And blows the cloud away. He says, well, I guess I'm not mighty and strong like the cloud. But maybe I want to be mighty and strong like the wind. He goes and he turns into this wind and he's blowing all around, pushing the clouds all around. And then there he is pushing, and he looks down and there's a mountain. And he's blowing on the mountain, and guess what? The mountain ain't moving. He says, well, I'm a strong, powerful wind. I can't move the mountain. I want to be the mountain. So poof, it becomes the mountain. There he is sitting mighty and strong and nothing can harm him, and all of a sudden feels a little ping on his toe. And looks down and there's that little miner banging away. He says, you know, I want to be that little miner. The end. It's such a great story. We always want to be there because there is better than here. And as soon as we get there and there turns into here, guess what? There's somewhere else that we want to go to. There's another there. It's amazing. So don't worry about getting there. Worry about enjoying it here. Right? Enjoy. So good. So we said rule number 6 was there is no better than here, right? We should learn, figure out to be happy where we are, not to worry about getting to some other place because that other place will.
Place number 2.
Will finally make me happy. Right? It's right, but it's not that, right? Nothing makes me happy. I have to learn to be happy where I'm at. Right? That's always an important thing. Number 2 is that others are merely mirrors of ourselves, right? And so we look at other people, right? So we go ahead and we when we see other people or other people's shortcomings, really we're seeing our own shortcomings. Rule number 8, and this is probably the most important rule. What you make of your life is up to you. Nobody can do it for you, right? But what you make of it is up to you. Okay? Meaning that we go ahead and we get to choose what we're going to do with our lives. Right? What we make of it is our choice. You know, there's a famous story. There's actually a famous story that there was a student who came to the rabbi and said, Rabbi, says, how can you be happy when bad things happen? He says, well, go speak to Yankala. Go to this town and go ask Moshe. Go find Moshe. So he comes to the town and says, where's Moshe? He says, okay, when you go walk to the end of the road, where the road ends, there's a little hovel over there on the right. That's where Moshe lives. He says, okay, fine. So he goes and he walks, and he comes and he sees this house which has no roof. Right? The roof is fallen and the window panes are gone. He walks in and he finds a man lying in a bed. The man has no hands, no feet. His body is covered with lesions. The bedposts of his bed are in buckets of water so the bugs can't crawl up because he has no hands to get them off. He says, my Rebbe said, Moshe, what do you do when bad things happen to you? So Moshe looks at it and says, I don't know. You have to find somebody who bad things have happened to. Right? What we make up of life is totally up to us. Nothing can influence or change what it is. Right? It's up to us. Not only is it up to us, There's a famous story with Reb Zusha. Reb Zusha was this great and holy sage. And Reb Zusha had this saying, which is, he says, when I get upstairs to heaven, and they're going to say to me, Reb Zusha, why weren't you as great as Moses? He says, I have an easy answer for that. He says, God, you didn't give me the capabilities that Moses had. He said, so I'm not afraid of that question. He said, the question I'm afraid of is when I get upstairs to heaven, and they say to me, Zusha, why weren't you Zusha? He says, that's what I'm afraid of.
Well, they're not going to ask anybody else, why weren't you Moses? They say, why didn't you realize your full potential? I mean, the question they would ask him is, why weren't you Zeus?
Right, that's it. And that's the question he's afraid of. And not the question of why wasn't he Moses.
Right.
Because not being Moses is an easy answer to. But why weren't we as great as we are?
So that, okay, so this rule says it's up to you.
Yeah.
Yet we're just responsible for putting in our effort, but the outcome is up to God, right?
Right.
Well, it's partnership.
Right. No. One second. God controls what happens. We only control what we try to make happen, or how we react to a situation. We rarely control anything that ever happens to us.
So how can you have a mission?
Uh-huh.
We don't have any control over anything. He's giving us a mission.
Right.
But how do we fulfill that mission if we really don't have any control over the outcome?
Because what you do have control of is what you tried. And that's where your job lies, what you try to do. Okay. Let's play it out, okay? Did you pick who your parents were before you were born? No. Did you pick which preschool you went to? Did you pick which elementary school you went to? Did you pick which high school you went to? So far you really controlled nothing about your life. Did you pick which college you went to? But what did you base that decision which college to go to on? Based on the upbringing you had from your parents and your school, which you had no control over. So you thought you were making an informed decision, when really you were making absolutely zero decision. Okay? So again, so you didn't really, right? So what college you went to is really not in your control. Okay, now, based on where you went to school, where you went to college, right? And what you chose to do is probably how you picked which person you're going to marry. Which person would you marry? Then, right? We'll just go on and on and on and on, and you realize that how much of life do you really control? Nothing. So what do you control? No, you do. You control nothing but everything at the same time. You control nothing that happens to you. I can walk over to you and smack you. What do you have control over?
My reaction.
Your reaction. There we go. Right. There we go. Right. Thank you. Never hit the round. Right? Your reaction. What you do. That's life. What happens to us, God is sending us exactly what we need. The lesson that we need is from God. What do we control? How we react to the lesson. Do we learn from the lesson? So at the same point in time, we control nothing, we control everything. Following? Right? Are we there?
So the mission is to, through your reactions, to make yourself a better person.
Right. Or to make yourself godly, to bring yourself into this relationship, because it's all about bringing ourselves into that relationship with God, right? That's the right to become God-like, to become a great human being. And do you know what a great human being is? Somebody who does the right thing, right? Who makes the right decisions. It's not the one who dies with the most money that doesn't make you the greatest person, right? It makes what did you do with it? That's what it's all about. You understand? That's the greatness. Right? And so how we react to the situation. Then how do we choose to react to any given situation? Right? So that's what the Torah tells us how we're supposed to react to each of those situations. And so the way we choose to react is what we control. And that's controlling everything and nothing at the same time.
So our mission is kind of defined by what things Hashem makes happen to you,
Right?
and
Sure.
how you react to them.
Exactly. You ever read those books, choose your own endings?
Yeah.
I love them.
Mhm.
But I always hated when they ended up dead in some cave or something like that.
Yeah.
So you know what I used to do? You know what I used to do? I used to read from the end. I used to make the ending I liked and work backwards. That way I always won.
Smart.
Isn't that? And then he used to go, and then he used to figure out the endings for all the people that were dumb enough to read from the beginning. And I was brilliant. Right? Now. Right? That's our life. God has, would say, our job is to make the right decisions. We can't control anybody else. You know how it's proven to you control nobody else?
You have kids.
You have kids. Right? Who here thinks they control their children? The only people who ever think they control their children are the ones that don't have any. Right? It's amazing. Right? That shows how much control we really do have. So the only thing we control is ourselves and how we react in a given situation. And then making the right decisions in that matrix of decisions, but right? That's our job. That's what we control. You have all the tools and resources that you need. What you do with them is up to you. Right? The choice is yours. You could use that money and you could go buy yourself that Rolls Royce and that nice boathouse and that nice lake and that what is so that $200 million mansion. And that's what you think God wants? You use it to help other people, to do kind things. Right? To follow, right? In the sense, but those are the choices we make. But it's our choice. And that's where life lies. Right? That's where our choice really lives. Thomas said you only control one thing. You know what that is? Your fear of heaven. Right? That's what it is. Right? That's how you make your choices. How do you make your choices what you choose to do? Those are the choices that we're interested in. Because that's really the lessons of life. That's really where it's all at. Everything else is just nice. I like a Rolls Royce. But I'll live in my Chevy or Kia. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, a car is a car, get me from place A to place B. I'll be okay. Couple dings, couple branches falling on it. Right? Right? You know what I'm saying? Right? But the choice is the choice of what we do with it. Right? The choices that we make in life is God gives us everything. And now he says, okay, now choose to do with it. Now make your choices. Right? Go kind of figure out the choices that you should be making. Those are the things that we control. And that's where we achieve greatness. Because that's really great. We ride around with a Rolls Royce. That does not make us great. As much as Rolls Royce wants us to think that's what makes us great.
How do the tools play in? So we all have I guess different abilities, different tools.
Right. So now we need to use those tools for the choices that we need to, right, of how we react in life. Now it's really rule number 9, which goes together with it, is that because you're asking what's your life's mission, right? You know what I'm saying, right? There's this one thing, right, which is we're sort of focusing on is how we become great people ourselves, right? Kind of like how we achieve greatness, right? And so that's the way that's purely how when things happen, what do? Right? Or what choices do we make? You know, the baby's crying in the middle of the night. Do I tell my wife, you go to sleep, I'll go get up with the baby? Or does it mean that I get up for the baby so my husband can sleep? Right? Right? Understand? Right? So, right? And that's what makes a person great. Nobody knows about it except God. But you want to know where growth takes place. That's where growth takes place. Right? That's where real growth takes place. Right? You have a disagreement, right? The disagreement with somebody said, you know what, you're right, we'll do it your way instead of mine. Right? You know, I don't always have to win. It doesn't always have to be my way. You know, I'm happy with that. And the next level is where you say, you know what, I made a mistake, you're right, I'm wrong. Even though you're right. But you let them think that they're right and you're wrong. So you don't make them feel bad that they're getting there. Right? Okay, right, you understand, right? We're upping the ante, right? You understand, right? We're growing, but to expect somebody to go from 0 to there, it doesn't work. Right? You just have to, right? There are steps to the process. And that's how you go and you develop yourself, you polish yourself, you make yourself into a great person. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's amazing, right? You go get married just so you can have somebody to give to. Because that will make you a better person. You understand what I'm saying? That's how we achieve greatness. That's how those are our superstars. The guy who gave his wife today is a superstar. He's challenged. He's you know, call him on a he's mentally handicapped. But he did what he had to do. He made the right choices. Incredible. And he says to me, he says, Rabbi, he says, did I do anything wrong? I said, you didn't. Right? He doesn't have the capacity that most of us do. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't have that ability. So that's not his choices. Right? His choices are in this box. You know what I'm saying? He's in a different box than we're in. But that's his choices that he makes. So that's rule number 8. What you make of your life is up to you. You have all the tools and resources, what you do with them is up to you. The choice is yours. Right? Now, because when you look down into your toolbox, because David said kind of just to bring it up, when you look into your toolbox, right? You have a saw and a hammer. Right? I said, well, I'm just going to do my own thing and I won't use my saw and my hammer, right? There's only one problem with that.
You're giving them for a reason.
You're giving them for a reason. So what do you do with the saw and a hammer?
Build something.
You build things. So if you have a saw and a hammer in your toolbox, so then you got to make choices to go build. But now what are you going to choose to build? Right? What? Wherever you are, or what, right? Or what are you going to build? You're going to build yourself a nice house. You're going to build, right, a house for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, right? You know, like that. But you have the tools, so you know if you got the tools, you know you got a mission, and so you got to choose to go on the right mission. Right? Because if you go to build the wrong house, what happens? There's a house that could have been built that wasn't. And the house you built, there's nobody right? So that's what it means to look in our tools and understand what we need to do, right? What our job is in life, right? Like that's something that we need to figure out, right? Where are we building? What are we doing with it? What are we doing with these tools that we have? Right? And figuring that out. That's really what life's really all about. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really we need to do it. You know, it's growing up. Be all that you can be in the arm. Right? Remember that? Right? That's what it is, right? And the ability to become the best. But we need to do it. You can't just talk a good game, we need to play a good game. Right? Right? We need to actually put it into action. We need to achieve it. And it's never too late to start, is the good news. Because wherever we are, we make choices, right? We're constantly making choices. So we need to make the right choice. Right? And that's what happens. We're going to do a choice. What are we choosing to do? Right? Like that's those are the choices that we